Now, when we talk about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what we have to recognize is that on the issue of recreation, you have a number of issues that must be addressed. First of all, whatever we say about recreation in the life of the Prophet, we have to base that really on what we know from the Hadithic literature and the Sirah literature with regard to any form of recreation that the Prophet was engaged in. Now, as the previous speaker pointed out, you have two conflicting points of view among the Muslims. You have this one-dimensional view about the Prophet, which I think is false, that the Prophet Muhammad was very stern all the time, which is, if that ayah is true, and we believe it's true, that the Prophet was the fine example, he had to be a human being who reflected in his life all the varieties of the human condition. And I think that is more realistic. The Quranic ayah which says that the Prophet Muhammad was the finest example for Muslims to follow, because the Prophet would embody in his behavior and in his life the fact that he reflected the diversity of the human condition. From the Hadithic literature, we know that the Prophet was smiling most of the time, as it is reported. Now, so he could not be that stiff, upper lip, tough guy, like image that many Muslims would like to create, that he was always very grim. That's not the image of the Prophet that you get from the Quranic understanding and from the Hadithic literature. What we have to recognize is the fact that the personal disposition of the Prophet in Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, Nisa, Abu Dawud shows that the Prophet was a man of good and pleasing disposition. So that when people came to him, they felt if they were down, their batteries were charged by his disposition. Because if you are angry and you come to somebody who is also angry, that person doesn't help you. Because he reinforces your negativity.